Hey friends, Matt here. If you caught my last video, you're aware that the Mark 5 Jetta had multiple springs with brakes in them. We drove the car, made a bunch of noise, then we went and dug into the suspension, and sure enough we had a bunch of springs. They're all broken. So rather than replacing the springs with OEM springs at $200 a pop, I decided to try out ECS Tuning's Street Coilover kit. In this video, we'll be going over the components included in this kit, and we'll start to assemble the front coilover to get it ready to install in the car. ECS Tuning offers two versions of this kit, the coilovers by themselves and the coilovers with the assembly kit. If you don't get the assembly kit, you'll have to salvage many of the parts from the old suspension to properly install the coilovers, and for that reason I decided to pick up the coilovers with the assembly kit. I do want to mention that ECS Tuning did hook me up with this kit for a discount, so huge shout out to them. So the way they ship these, the coilovers are in one box and the assembly kit is in a separate box. So while we're unboxing these, you'll be able to see exactly what you're getting with the install kit, and conversely, what you're missing out on if you choose to buy the coilovers alone. So let's get into this coilover package. For the fronts, you've got the coilover strut assembly and heavy duty sway bar end links. In the rear, you've got the spring, damper, and adjustable spring perch. Now everything on from this point will need to be salvaged from the vehicle if you don't have the assembly kit. And please take note that much of the hardware is one use torque to yield, which means they need to be replaced anyway. So the install kit will give you fresh strut bearings, strut mounts, top hat bolts, pinch bolts and nuts, and the axle bolts for the fronts. In the rear, you get fresh shock mounts, dust caps, upper and lower mounting bolts, and the control arm nut and bolts. So with all of that, the front struts require some assembly before installing them into the vehicle. And it should be noted that the bump stops aren't included in the installation kit, therefore we needed to salvage those from the current suspension. To get to these, the old suspension will need to be removed, and I'll be going over that in the next video.
Totally.
Okay, take two. This is not the right size. I'm struggling, dude.
I know.
Oop. Should probably compress the spring.
People ask what happened, he's like, oh, the spring exploded, it's crazy. Also, the spring is broken, so.
Is it?
Yep.
So that's driver's side, front, passenger side, front, and driver's side, rear, all broken springs.
Yeah.
And we haven't really even looked that hard at the rear, the passenger side rear.
No, I should go grab that actually, I'm kind of curious.
Oh yeah, he's broken.
Yeah?
Yep, the pigtail at the top.
Damn! Technique! I'll give that a good yank while I hold this out of the way. It's
It's really the only piece we need.
Essentially, as long as you put all of the components on in the correct order and in the correct orientation, the coilover pre-assembly is pretty foolproof. You have two springs, the smaller comfort spring and the main coil. The comfort spring sits right on the adjustable perch, then the spacer sits between the comfort spring and the main coil. On top of that is the top coil perch that fits right into the strut bearing. Secure all of that onto the strut assembly with the strut nut and you're good to go. You'll need to have an offset wrench to spin the nut while holding the rod, and the torque spec for that nut can be found in the description below. And that's it.
You're good. This motherfucker. Bam, first try.
I hope this helped with your decision to get yourself some ECS tuning street coilovers. They have kits that fit multiple Volkswagen and Audi models, and I've linked this particular kit in the description below, so go check that out. And if you do go through that link and you find something at ECS Tuning that you like, I do get a small kickback from the purchase price, which really helps this channel. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time when we install this coilover kit.